There's a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. One is a state of body. The other is a state of mind. And Buddhism teaches that when you learn to love being alone, loneliness disappears forever. Not because you're avoiding people, not because you've given up on connection, but because you found the one person who will never leave you, yourself. Most of us have been taught that being alone means something is wrong, that if you're by yourself, you must be lonely, that solitude equals sadness. But what if everything you've been taught about being alone is backwards? What if being alone isn't something to survive, but something to savor? What if solitude isn't a void to fill, but a space to treasure? What if the quiet moments with yourself could become the most peaceful part of your day? Buddhism has been teaching this truth for thousands of years. That true peace doesn't come from surrounding yourself with people, possessions, or distractions. It comes from learning to be genuinely happy in your own presence, complete in your own company, at home with yourself. And this isn't just ancient philosophy. This is a skill you can learn, a practice you can cultivate, a way of being that transforms everything. Imagine waking up on a quiet Sunday morning and feeling excited about the day ahead, not anxious about having no plans. Imagine sitting in a cafe by yourself and feeling peaceful, not self-conscious. Imagine spending an entire evening alone and going to bed feeling fulfilled, not empty. This is possible, not someday, when you finally figure everything out, but now, today, through the simple, powerful practices of Buddhist wisdom. In this video, I'm going to share 7 teachings that will transform how you experience solitude. These aren't abstract ideas. They're practical steps that will help you move from fearing alone time to loving it, from feeling lonely to feeling free. Let's begin this beautiful journey. The first step to loving being alone is understanding a truth that will change everything. Loneliness and solitude are not the same thing. They're completely different experiences, and confusing them is what keeps you suffering. Loneliness is a feeling. It's the ache of disconnection, the sense that something is missing, the belief that you're incomplete without someone else. And here's what's important to understand. You can feel lonely in a crowded room. You can feel lonely in a relationship. You can feel lonely surrounded by friends, because loneliness isn't about being physically alone. It's about feeling emotionally disconnected. From others, yes, but more importantly, from yourself. Solitude, on the other hand, is a state. It's the choice to be alone, the practice of spending time with yourself intentionally, the gift of having space without distraction, noise, or the need to perform for anyone else. Buddhism teaches that solitude is sacred. It's where you meet your true self, where you hear your inner voice, where you reconnect with the peace that lives beneath the noise of daily life. But our culture has taught us to fear it. We're told that if you enjoy being alone, something is wrong with you, that you're antisocial, that you're missing out, that you should always be connecting, networking, socializing, proving you're not lonely. So we fill every moment. We reach for our phones the second we're alone. We turn on the TV to avoid silence. We make plans we don't even want because the alternative, being alone with ourselves, feels too uncomfortable. But here's what Buddhism knows. The discomfort you feel in solitude isn't because solitude itself is bad. It's because you haven't learned to be with yourself yet. You're meeting a stranger, someone you've been too busy to get to know, yourself. And like meeting anyone new, it can feel awkward at first. You don't know what to say, what to do, how to be. So your mind fills the silence with worry. This is weird. I should be doing something. I should have plans. Everyone else is out having fun, and I'm here alone. But these thoughts aren't truth. They're just unfamiliarity, the strangeness of not having practiced being alone. The beautiful news is that this changes. When you intentionally practice solitude, when you choose to spend time with yourself regularly, something shifts. The strangeness fades. The discomfort softens. And what replaces it is something unexpected: peace, clarity, freedom, joy. You start to notice things: the way light moves across your room, the taste of your morning coffee when you're not rushing, the sound of rain without the noise of conversation over it, the simple pleasure of your own thoughts without needing to share them immediately. You start to enjoy your own company, to find yourself interesting, to realize that being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means being free, free from performing, free from explaining, free from the exhausting work of managing other people's perceptions of you, free to just be. So today, start making this distinction in your mind. When you feel uncomfortable being alone, ask yourself, am I actually lonely, or am I just unfamiliar with solitude? Often, it's the latter. And that unfamiliarity can be transformed through practice, through choosing to be alone intentionally, through learning that solitude is not punishment. It's permission. Permission to rest, to think, to feel, to be exactly who you are without anyone watching. This is the foundation. Understanding that being alone and feeling lonely are not the same. One is a circumstance, the other is a choice. And when you realize you have the power to choose how you experience being alone, everything begins to change. Buddhism teaches something profound. The quality of your relationship with yourself determines the quality of every other relationship in your life. If you can't be a friend to yourself, you'll never truly feel the friendship of others. Think about it. If you don't enjoy your own company, why would you expect others to? If you're constantly critical of yourself, harsh, judgmental, impatient, you're living with someone who treats you terribly, and that shapes how you show up in the world. You become desperate for external validation because you're not giving yourself internal acceptance. You become clingy because you're trying to escape the one person you can't escape, yourself. You become anxious about being alone because you're spending time with someone you don't like. But when you become your own friend, everything shifts. You stop needing others to fill a void because there is no void. You're already filled, already whole, already complete. So how do you befriend yourself? Buddhism offers a beautiful practice. Treat yourself the way you would treat someone you deeply care about. When you make a mistake, instead of harsh criticism, offer yourself compassion. It's okay, everyone makes mistakes. You're learning. I'm here for you. The same words you'd speak to a friend in pain. When you're going through something difficult, instead of minimizing your feelings or telling yourself to toughen up, acknowledge them. This is hard. I see you're hurting. Your feelings matter. The same validation you'd offer someone you love. When you achieve something, instead of dismissing it or immediately moving to the next goal, celebrate. You did it. I'm proud of you. Look how far you've come. The same encouragement you'd give to someone you're rooting for. This isn't self-indulgence. This is self-respect. And it transforms how you experience being alone. Because when you're kind to yourself, being alone stops feeling like punishment. It starts feeling like coming home, like spending time with someone who truly sees you, accepts you, supports you. Because that someone is you. Buddhism also teaches the practice of self-inquiry, taking time to genuinely get to know yourself. Not the version of you that performs for others, but the real you, the one who exists when no one is watching. Ask yourself questions. What do I actually enjoy? Not what I think I should enjoy, but what genuinely brings me peace. What are my real thoughts on things? Not the opinions I've adopted from others? What do I need right now in this moment to feel okay? And then listen, really listen to your own answers without judgment, without trying to change them, just listening the way you'd listen to a friend sharing something important. This practice of self-friendship creates something beautiful. It creates a relationship with yourself that is so solid, so genuine, so loving, that being alone becomes desirable, not just tolerable, desirable. You start looking forward to time alone because it means you get to spend time with someone you genuinely like. Someone who understands you completely. Someone who doesn't require you to explain or perform or prove anything. And from this foundation of self-friendship, your relationships with others transform too. You stop seeking people to complete you because you're already complete. You stop tolerating bad treatment because you know what good treatment feels like. You give it to yourself daily. You choose connections that add to your life rather than fill a desperate need. You show up as whole, not half, as someone choosing to share their fullness, not someone begging to be filled. So today, make this commitment. I will be a friend to myself. I will speak to myself with kindness. I will spend time getting to know myself. I will treat my own company as valuable, because it is. You are worth knowing. You are worth spending time with. You are worth befriending. And when you truly believe this, loneliness becomes impossible. Because you're never truly alone. You're with your best friend, yourself. Buddhism teaches that what you practice, you become. And if you want to love being alone, you must practice being alone in ways that are genuinely enjoyable. Not just endurable, enjoyable. This means creating rituals, small intentional practices that transform ordinary alone time into something sacred, something you look forward to, something that nourishes you. Many people hate being alone because their alone time is empty. They sit on the couch, scroll their phone mindlessly, feel the hours pass without meaning, and think, this is loneliness. But that's not solitude. That's just empty time. And empty time always feels bad. But when you create rituals, when you bring intention and beauty to your alone time, it transforms. It becomes rich, meaningful, restorative. Let me share some Buddhist-inspired rituals that can make solitude sacred. First, the morning ritual. Before you reach for your phone, before you engage with the world, take 10 minutes for yourself. Sit quietly. Breathe deeply. Set an intention for the day. This simple practice teaches your nervous system that being alone, being still, being with yourself is safe, peaceful, good. Second, the tea ceremony. Not just drinking tea, but making it a ritual. Choose a beautiful cup. Heat the water mindfully. Watch the tea steep. Hold the warm cup in your hands. Taste each sip slowly. This isn't about the tea. It's about bringing presence, beauty, and intention to a simple moment alone. It's practicing the art of savoring your own company. Third, the evening reflection. Before bed, spend 5 minutes journaling. Not to accomplish anything or solve problems, just to check in with yourself. How am I feeling? What did I notice today? What am I grateful for? This ritual creates a relationship with yourself, a daily conversation, a deepening friendship. Fourth, the nature walk. Not listening to podcasts or music, just walking. Alone, noticing the trees, the sky, your breath, your body moving. This practice reminds you that you're part of something larger, that even when you're physically alone, you're connected to all of life. Fifth, the creative ritual. Whatever brings you joy. Painting, writing, cooking, gardening, playing music. Not for anyone else, not to share on social media. Just for you. For the pure pleasure of creating something with your own hands, in your own time, in your own way. These rituals don't have to be elaborate. They don't require money or special equipment. They just require intention. The choice to make your alone time sacred rather than something to get through. Buddhism teaches that how you do anything is how you do everything. When you bring care, attention, and love to your solitude, you're teaching yourself that you're worth that care, that your presence, even alone, matters. That time with yourself is valuable, and something beautiful happens. Your nervous system begins to associate being alone with peace, not panic, with nourishment, not deprivation, with freedom, not loneliness. You start to crave these moments, to protect them, to feel disappointed when you can't have them because your schedule is too full. This is when you know the transformation has happened, when solitude shifts from something you fear to something you treasure. So today, choose one ritual. Just one. Something simple that you can do regularly. Maybe it's morning coffee in silence. Maybe it's an evening walk. Maybe it's 10 minutes of stretching before bed. Do it with full presence, with intention, with the understanding that you're not just filling time, you're building a relationship. With yourself, with solitude, with peace. And over time, these small rituals accumulate. They create a life where being alone doesn't feel like lack. It feels like abundance. Not emptiness, but fullness. Not loneliness, but love. Because you've learned the secret that the most important relationship you'll ever have is with yourself. And that relationship, like all relationships, thrives on quality time, on rituals, on intention, on love. One of the biggest obstacles to loving solitude is our addiction to noise, to distraction, to filling every moment of silence with something, anything, to avoid being with ourselves. Buddhism teaches about the power of stillness, but we've forgotten how to be still. We reach for our phones the moment we have a free second. We turn on the TV for background noise. We put in earbuds to avoid our own thoughts. And we do this not because we love the noise, but because we fear the silence. Because in silence, we have to be with ourselves. And we're not used to that. We're not comfortable with that. So we avoid it. But here's what Buddhism knows. Peace doesn't live in the noise. It lives in the silence. And every time you fill that silence, you're pushing away the very thing you're seeking. Think about the last time you were truly still. No phone, no TV, no music, no distractions. Just you, sitting quietly, being present. When was that? For many people, it's been years, maybe never. And yet, this is where everything good lives. Clarity, insight, creativity, peace, connection with yourself. It all emerges in the silence, but you have to be willing to sit in it long enough to let it arrive. So here's a practice. Start with just 5 minutes. Set a timer, put your phone in another room, turn off all screens and sounds, and just sit in silence with yourself. At first, your mind will race. It will throw up every worry, every to-do, every uncomfortable thought it can find. This is normal. This is your mind, unused to stillness, trying to get you to go back to distraction. Don't judge it. Don't fight it. Just notice. Oh, my mind is busy. That's okay. And keep sitting. Keep breathing. Keep allowing the silence to be there. Over time, something shifts. The mental chatter slows. The discomfort eases. And beneath it all, you start to feel something you may have forgotten exists. Peace. Actual peace. Not the temporary distraction of scrolling, but real, deep, inner peace. This peace has been there all along, waiting for you, beneath the noise, but you couldn't hear it because you never gave yourself the silence to listen. Buddhism teaches that in silence, you meet your true self, not the performed self, not the anxious self, but the self that exists beyond all the noise, the self that is already whole, already complete, already at peace. And when you meet this self, something beautiful happens. Being alone stops being scary because you realize you're in good company. The best company, your own. So today, practice silence, even just 5 minutes. Sit without distractions, without filling the space, without running from yourself. And notice what happens. Notice the discomfort, yes, but also notice what's beneath it. The stillness, the peace, the part of you that has been waiting patiently for you to come home. Because that's what silence is, coming home to yourself. And when you're home, you're never truly alone. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes not from circumstances, but from how we perceive circumstances. And nowhere is this more true than with being alone. Two people can have the exact same experience, a Saturday night at home by themselves, and feel completely different. One feels lonely, sad like they're missing out. The other feels peaceful, free, grateful for the space. Same circumstance, different perception, different experience. So if you want to love being alone, you must reframe how you perceive it, not as lack, but as freedom, not as being left out, but as choosing peace, not as loneliness, but as liberation. Let me show you how to do this. When you find yourself alone, instead of thinking, I have no plans, no one to be with, I'm alone, try this. I have freedom, no one to please, nothing I have to do. I'm free. When you're at home on a Friday night and hear others going out, instead of thinking, I'm missing out, everyone else is having fun without me, try this. I'm choosing rest. I'm honoring what I need. I'm giving myself the gift of peace. When you wake up on a Sunday with no texts, no calls, no invitations, instead of thinking, no one thought of me, I'm forgotten, try this. I have a whole day to do exactly what I want. No compromises, no obligations, pure freedom. This isn't denial. This isn't pretending. This is recognizing a truth your mind has been missing. That being alone is not a punishment. It's a privilege. Think about it. Being alone means you can eat what you want, when you want, watch what you want, wake up when you want, move at your own pace, make choices without negotiation, exist without performance, be yourself without explanation. This is freedom, real freedom. And most people are so busy chasing connection that they never experience it. Buddhism teaches that attachment creates suffering. And one of the attachments we don't recognize is the attachment to always being around others, to always having plans, to never being alone. We think this need for constant company is connection, but often it's avoidance. We're avoiding ourselves. And in that avoidance, we lose the freedom that comes from being comfortable in our own presence. When you reframe solitude as freedom, everything changes. That quiet evening at home becomes a luxury. That solo walk becomes a meditation. That meal alone becomes an opportunity to actually taste your food without distraction. You start to see that you haven't been missing out. You've been given a gift. The gift of time with yourself. The gift of space. The gift of choosing your own energy, your own pace, your own experience. And from this place of seeing solitude as freedom, something unexpected happens. You become less desperate for company, less willing to tolerate connections that drain you just to avoid being alone, more discerning about who you spend time with, because now you have something to compare it to, the peace of your own company. And you're no longer willing to trade that peace for just any connection. So today, practice this reframe. Every time you notice yourself labeling alone time as loneliness, stop. Ask yourself, what if this is freedom? What if this is exactly what I need? What if this is a gift? And watch how the experience shifts, not because anything external changed, but because you changed how you're seeing it. That's the power of perception. That's the wisdom of Buddhism. That's how you transform loneliness into solitude, and solitude into love. Here's a truth that changes everything. When you feel empty inside, you'll always feel lonely, even in a crowd. But when you feel full inside, you'll never feel lonely, even when alone. Buddhism teaches that true abundance is an inner state, not an outer circumstance. And until you cultivate that inner abundance, you'll be endlessly seeking it from others, from validation, from attention, from someone, anyone, to fill the void you feel. But here's what you need to understand. That void cannot be filled from the outside. Ever. You can have 1,000 friends, a perfect relationship, constant company, and still feel that ache. Still feel that something's missing. Because what's missing isn't out there. It's in here. It's the relationship with yourself, the sense of your own wholeness, the knowing that you are enough, exactly as you are right now. So how do you cultivate this inner abundance? How do you become so full within yourself that being alone doesn't feel like deprivation? First, gratitude. Every day, notice what you already have, not what's missing, what's here. Your breath, your body, your mind, your shelter, your food, the miracle that you're alive at all. This practice shifts you from lack to abundance, from what I don't have to what I do have. And that shift is everything. Second, self-sufficiency. Learn to meet your own needs. Not all of them, not perfectly, but genuinely. Comfort yourself when you're sad. Encourage yourself when you're scared. Celebrate yourself when you succeed. Be the person for yourself that you've been waiting for others to be. This creates an internal stability, a knowing that even if everyone leaves, you'll be okay, because you can take care of yourself. Third, purpose. Have something that matters to you beyond relationships. A creative practice, a cause you care about, a skill you're developing, something that gives your life meaning even when you're alone. This fills you from within, so that when you're alone, you're not empty, you're engaged, connected to something that matters. Fourth, presence. Stop living in the past or future and come into now, because abundance only exists in this moment, not in what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow, but in the richness of right now. And when you're fully present, you realize something beautiful. This moment is enough. This breath is enough. You are enough. These practices create an inner fullness, a sense of abundance that doesn't depend on anyone else. And when you have that, being alone transforms, because you're not alone and empty. You're alone and full, not missing something, complete, not seeking, already found. This is the secret Buddhism has been teaching all along, that what you're seeking isn't out there, it's within you. And when you find it there, when you cultivate that inner abundance, you become free. Free from needing others to fill you. Free from the fear of being alone. Free to enjoy connection when it comes, and enjoy your own company when it doesn't. So today, start building that inner abundance. Practice gratitude. Meet your own needs. Connect to your purpose. Be present. And watch how the feeling of lack dissolves, replaced by something you've been searching for everywhere else. Fullness, wholeness, peace, right here, right now, within you. The final teaching is the most important, and it's this. You don't need to learn how to love being alone. You need to remember, because you were born knowing this. You came into this world whole, complete, perfectly content in your own being. Watch a baby lying quietly, looking at their hands, fascinated by their own existence. They're not lonely. They're discovering, exploring, being. You knew how to be with yourself once, how to be at peace with your own presence, how to not need constant stimulation or validation or company. But then the world taught you otherwise. It taught you that being alone meant something was wrong, that you needed to be constantly doing, achieving, connecting, proving, that your worth came from outside, not inside. And slowly, you forgot. You forgot that you're already whole, that you don't need to be completed by anyone or anything, that you've always been enough. Buddhism calls this remembering awakening, not becoming something new, but waking up to what has always been true. That beneath all the noise, all the seeking, all the fear, you are and always have been complete. So when you practice loving being alone, you're not building something from scratch. You're removing the layers that covered up what was already there, the peace, the wholeness, the self-sufficiency. You're coming home to yourself, to the truth you knew before the world convinced you otherwise. And this remembering changes everything, because you stop trying so hard, stop forcing, stop desperately seeking what you already have. You simply relax into yourself, into the present moment, into the knowing that you're okay, right now, exactly as you are, alone or with others. It doesn't matter. Because your okayness doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from you. This is freedom. Not the freedom of having everything you want, but the freedom of needing nothing to be at peace. And when you have this freedom, solitude isn't something to fear or fix. It's something to treasure. Because in solitude, you get to be with the one person who's been with you since the beginning and will be with you until the end. The one person who knows you completely. The one person who will never leave. Yourself. So today, remember, you are whole. You are enough. You are complete. Not because of what you've achieved or who you're with or what you own, but because you exist. Because you're alive. Because beneath everything you've been taught, every story you've believed, every fear you've carried, there is a truth. You were born whole, and you still are. Being alone doesn't take that away. It reveals it. When you strip away all the distractions, all the performance, all the seeking, what remains is you. Pure, simple, complete. And that is worth loving, worth spending time with, worth treasuring. So love being alone, not as a last resort, but as a choice, a gift, a coming home. Because you're not alone at all. You're with the most important person in your life, you. Let me bring together what we've discovered today. First, understand that loneliness and solitude are not the same. One is pain, the other is peace, and you get to choose which one you experience. Second, befriend yourself before seeking friends outside. The quality of your relationship with yourself determines everything. Third, create rituals that make solitude sacred. Transform empty time into meaningful moments. Fourth, stop filling every silence with noise. Peace lives in the stillness, waiting for you to listen. Fifth, reframe alone time as freedom, not lack. It's a privilege, not a punishment. Sixth, cultivate inner abundance. When you're full within, you're never empty without. And seventh, remember that you were born whole. You're not learning something new. You're remembering something true. These aren't just teachings. They're invitations. Invitations to come home to yourself. To discover that the person you've been seeking everywhere else has been here all along. You. The Buddha taught, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. So give it, starting today. Love your own company. Treasure your solitude. Befriend yourself. Because when you do, loneliness becomes impossible. You're never truly alone. You're with your oldest friend, your most loyal companion, your truest home, yourself. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear that being alone doesn't mean being lonely. And let me know in the comments, which teaching resonated most with you? Thank you for being here. May you find the peace that comes from loving your own company. May you discover the joy of solitude. May you remember that you are whole, complete, and enough, exactly as you are. Right now, alone or together, you are home.